We're going to talk about 5 coins under 400 million. Yes, I know this is going to be hard. I may well go over though. So hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new, make sure you've subscribed, hit the bell button, leave a like and a comment now. Hope you enjoyed yesterday's video on Federal Reserve. It may well get a mention in this one too because it is fitting the mold. But market is good, and I know people are going to comment, oh, but you missed my coin out. I will go over more that I like the look of at the end of this video, so make sure you stick around. But I want to focus on 5 that are all relatively different in terms of how they work, different sectors, different kind of... I want to explain a little bit. When you are buying coins, don't buy the same thing over and over. Not so much the same thing, but if you're going to buy oracles, don't just buy 6 oracles and hope they all do well. Try and vary it. So these are all different sectors, if that makes sense. It's like being a stock investor. You want to have some tech stocks, you want to have some commodities, you want to have some other kind of industry leading things in different sectors, different commercial rights and all kinds of good stuff. Anyways, I'm rambling. First one, cadiachain. I've mentioned this once before, not much, in a relatively interesting place. Now, I think this is undervalued. I've said this for a long time now. If you don't know me, I run a Facebook group, right? This Facebook group has a moderator in it who loves this coin, this asset, and it is often talked about in a very, very positive light. I know what the community is like by just looking at my own Facebook group, which is kind of good. It's had a nice little run. It's been out roughly about a year now, give or take, and it is from the world of Vietnam and South Asia, essentially. Now, this is a very, very important concept that I want to get my head around for you guys to show you something cool, right? This is very, very similar to why I like Zilliqa, right? But I can't have them all. As I said at the start of the video, I can't just keep buying alternatives to the Zilliqa network in terms of the framework of how it works and all kinds of good stuff. Now, this is a much better concept than than Ethereum in terms of it. But remember that word Ethereum in a minute, right? You're going to like this in a minute. So it's the first interoperable blockchain in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. So that's an important geographical barrier there we've got to look at. So if we're thinking that, cool. Now, we've already said the word interoperable, self-optimized blockchain infrastructure aiming to basically push the current boundaries by solving the prominent challenges of, blockchain, which is scale, problem 1, cost, problem 2, and the obvious, security, right? So this aims to solve all 3 of them. So you see here already some statistics. The best blockchain in Vietnam. Okay, easy one. Top 20 in the world, essentially pretty awesome. And some pretty huge validators and huge partnerships. So confirmation time, 5 seconds, boom. Efficiency, it is cheap. It is like Zilliqa, sharding, all that kind of good stuff. Very, very cheap. That is a good thing. And the obvious, you can see it there at the bottom. Scalability, cool. Can't really grumble. What can I say about that? Not much. And then obviously security. So it's important to look at. So there you go. How can I say anything more than this? You can stake it. You can use their own DEX. If I go to the technology side, you can see how it works. So the dual nodes. Again, I'm just going over it as a quick glance because this video will be on forever. Roadmaps all there. Very, very good, healthy website. A much newer website than last time I looked. But as I said, they've got their own wallet and they've got their own DEX. Very, very important. So you can probably see the similarities between this and Zilliqa and what we were talking about before. Undervalued. This is a video regarding under 400 million market cap. When you compare the fact of this to Zilliqa, as an example here, competition, Zilliqa is over $2 billion in value. This is only 200 million in terms of overall kind of market cap, as you can see here. So, word of thought there is, hold up a minute. So, I said before, keep Ethereum in your head. They are a part of the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, which is kind of important. Now, this kind of may strike you a bit strange. It probably does, and it did with me. The fact that these are very, very similar to basically a competition to Ethereum. Now, I've always said Ethereum will be always a kingpin in this sense, but you want to try and get as close as you can to it. This is why other coins are always good to back. And yeah, cool. It's pretty awesome, realistically. So yeah, I like it a lot. Next one. Won't go over too much of this. Went over it yesterday, as you know. On Federal Reserve, fully diluted market cap, only 283 million. Still on Uniswap, sorry guys, I know it's a pain in the ass, but it's also only just got over 10,000 followers. Not followers, followers. Let's call them followers because I love it, right? But a lot of holders now. So again, I don't want to go too deep on this, but as I mentioned yesterday, make sure you watch yesterday's video, which is a link up there. And yeah, it is basically banking software for, as you can see on the screen here, for small treasury chartered banks and all kinds of good stuff to get that liquidity and all kinds of good stuff. Staking, by the way, one pointer people pointed out, this staking is not single-sided staking. It is coming out soon. This is the LP side, but a little bit different, okay? Moving on to the next one. I'm going to talk about Traveler. Now, I mentioned this before. I've said, cool, not an investor in it. Never used it. I want to use it. So maybe, if the world goes back to normal, I'll do a review on how it works. I won't exactly tell you where I'm going and what I'm doing and doing a purchase for you guys, because you'll end up on my Sun Lounger, you bastards. But I think when we look at life, right? Sounds silly, I know, but in the UK and Europe, you can't really do much at the minute, right? But this is an enabler. What have we had over the last 12 months? Think about it, just for 1 second. Profit, gains. Woohoo. So when you start thinking, well, I can book a holiday and use some of my crypto. Yeah, because it's totally possible with this. Now, if you don't know this, by the way, payment options, ridiculous. So crypto.com pay, you got Polkadot, Litecoin, you got quite a lot of random coins that you probably wouldn't have thought of using, realistically. So why not? What is wrong with doing it? So I think in terms of token utility, that is a real good usage. But when you start thinking about it, whether you're going to use it for the token or not, it's a fact that you can use other tokens on the platform, which is great. So it's definitely worth looking at, in my opinion. Now, one thing to look at, obviously, you know, you can see this, you've got two websites. The book one doesn't obviously work, but you have got token utility here with the fact of the medium of exchange. So you can use this token. So maybe this might go up in value with usage on the platform. So certainly keep an eye on it. Certainly one thing as well, by the way, as I say, I've never really used it, but you get traveling credits if you sign up. All kinds of other variations of, I think there's an actual token area on here. Where is it? There we go, the token. So in terms of the actual token, how it kind of works, you can see it here. So you get discounts, loyalty, and bonuses. In terms of usage, obviously you get 2%, all kinds of random discounts for using a token and obviously storing it. And there's token burns as well. So there's a solid utility here with scarcity brought into it. But again, we'll see. If there's enough distribution and eyeballs on that website and people using it, guess what? It's probably going to go up in value. So keep an eye on it, especially when the pandemic is gone. Moving on to the next one. Again, another one of a similar sort of ilk in terms of usage of cryptocurrency. People out and about doing certain things and being happy and going, ooh, I got money to spend, I'll go and spend it. Now, Utrust is one of those websites and one of those merchants online where it's getting more and more popular. I'm starting to see it a lot more now in terms of certain websites. You got like, you know, huge partnerships. As you can see here, some of the partnerships are getting big. Obviously, Traveler's on there as well. But when we start thinking, when you go out and about and you see certain things, it's pretty scary when you start thinking, oh my God, that's got what? Crypto? I can buy, whoa, cool. So this is another one that's kind of interesting, but I've not fully used this yet in terms of in real life, but I do see it a lot more. There's a much more partnerships out there and usage for this now than there ever has been. And I think this is majorly undervalued still when you think enabling of usage of cryptocurrency. Now, I know everyone wants to just hold on to it and go, oh, I don't want to sell ever. But there will be a time where you think, convenience. I can just go to my phone and go, oh, done, right? Simple. And it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if you see more and more merchants. So I know there's obviously, you know, much bigger merchants online in terms of usage of this. And to enable it on WordPress websites and WordPress stores, I mean, Shopify, places like that, huge, huge things. But it's going to get bigger and bigger, I think, anyway. That's my personal opinion. I think the enabling of simple, you know, application to allow cryptocurrency spending in the right way, perfect. And it's going to realistically match the likes of Coinbase, e-commerce and stuff like that, in my opinion anyways. Moving on to the last one. Not spoke about this one for a while, but we're talking oracles here. Chainlink, in my opinion, undervalued as it stands. I've been talking about this for a while. I think, you know, oracles are yet to pop. And I think Band is another one that could be doing pretty well. Now, fully diluted, supply, you can see it's 1.6 billion, right? However, you can't really, you know, the fact that it isn't in circulation supply, you can't really talk about it realistically. So you got to think realistically, how many's out there? How many can you get hands on? It's only 357. Now, obviously, oracles are of interest, right? They're going to be certainly as things progress. But I do rate, you know, if you like Chainlink and you think that that race is kind of run essentially, like it's ranked 11 or whatever, it's kind of, yeah, it could still grow, but it may not get as much. You may well find if Chainlink goes woof, this will probably follow it, right? It did it last time. That is a chance again, and there's got some multiple partnerships on here that I do like the look of, essentially, in terms of how it kind of works. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on in terms of the DeFi world. In terms of oracles, obviously you got, you know, say Polkadot, obviously Atom, Ethereum, all kinds of good stuff. So just keep an eye on it. But I said before, we'll look at some honorable mentions. Now I'm going to go on to page 3. We're going to go and have a look at page 3. And there's loads, absolutely loads of stuff here in terms of as you start going down and down and into it. There's a massive, you've probably already noticed, there's a huge drop off between 215 with roughly into the billions nearly, and then it all of a sudden just goes, drops off a cliff. And this is where, in my opinion, a lot of the undervalued assets are. And I've already mentioned before, Akasha definitely looks like a solid one for the future. We've got, there's a Cleaver. This is another one I've seen mentioned quite a few times. Not really looked much into it, but I've seen it mentioned a few times. What else have we got in terms of that? This one always gets mentioned, Half4, on my comments, essentially. Ridiculous. Obviously, cadiachain's there. Sora, another one. Honestly, the amount, like, this is why I ask questions on Twitter and I ask on, like, give us comments, because people mention certain things. Obviously, PokerStart, I've covered that before in terms of getting into the IDOs. There is loads. Luxo, mentioned that not so long ago. Paid Networks had a few little iffy issues, but it seems to be on the right path now. God, there's loads. Another Oracle there, essentially, ranked number 300. There's loads. And this is why, like, I know people get frustrated because I can't cover your coin, or I've not seen it yet, I've not researched it yet, but there's loads. There's loads, absolutely tons. So it's always of interest. So I do want to go through a few little random ones here, but there's a lot that I'm keeping an eye on. There's a lot I'm looking at. There's a lot I like. I like the look of Divi. It's been around for a while. It's doing some really good stuff. Good, solid team, actually. There's loads on here that I cannot just keep going over and over and over because it's ridiculous. But as you can see, going lower and lower, there's some crazy assets in these low levels, in my opinion. Now, you've probably heard or you've probably seen some upcoming little ones that are out and about. So keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on this market because, yeah, I still think a lot of these altcoins will see some light again. And yeah, that could be very, very interesting if they do.